a video on something I just want to have a quick faff around with. So I saw gnocchi made with just flour and oil and water. And I wanted to have a go at that. I thought, let's have a go. There's no egg in that. That's interesting. That'd be cheap. So we have got, what is the recipe now? 480 grams worth of flour, 240 grams worth of. No, I've done that the wrong way around. No, there's more water, wasn't it? So it's 480 grams worth of water, 240 grams worth of plain flour. I haven't got any 00. It's supposed to be 00 flour. And then it's supposed to be 4 tablespoons of olive oil. I didn't really want to use olive oil. I've got some chicken fat. So we're using 60 grams worth of chicken fat. And 60 grams of chicken fat is 4 tablespoons worth of olive oil in weight. So, and there's some salt in there as well. So we're supposed to boil that and then put in the flour. Probably could have done with a whisk. Have I got a whisk? Did have a whisk. Yes, I've got a whisk. So hopefully the fat in the water will stop it from clumping together, and then we need to cook it in the pan until it comes away from the sides. So temperature up a little bit. So a little bit like a hot wok pastry. Turn it down a little bit. Move to a wooden spoon, otherwise that's just going to cause a complete mess of my whisk. It already has made a complete mess of whisk. So, yeah, a bit like making a hot water pastry or a choux pastry. So we just kind of cook this so it comes away from the sides of the pan. I've not got a good wrist action anymore. I used to be able to make hollandaise sauce in a savoury on the stove. But sadly, no more. Is it Savion bowl? Yeah. But not anymore. So, it's kind of come away from the side of the pan, hasn't it? It's not stuck to the side of the pan. It's got a little bit of flour. It's not completely mixed in. I could see lots of flour, which shouldn't have happened. I've got a lot of the fat in there, but anyway, that'll do. So, leave that to cool, and then we'll give it a knead. I might have to add some more flour, but we'll give it a knead, and then we'll see what's going to happen with this. I don't know if it'll work. It worked on the telly, and I kind of thought, I am a fan of cheap things, but we'll have to see how this turns out. I don't know. They might have been lying on the telly. They don't always tell the truth, do they? All that here's one I made earlier and all that kind of stuff. Not entirely to be trusted, is it? I've certainly seen them cheat. But anyway, so we'll let that go cold. We'll give it a bit of a knead and a bit of flour. You see, that's why I shouldn't use my whisk. But anyway, I'm always in a bit of a rush, aren't I? But anyway, so we'll have a look at it in a minute. A little bit of a knead of this and see what happens. I think it's going to need some more flour. I think it's going to need some more flour, but we'll see. I don't have high hopes for this, do you know. I just can't see it. Just can't see it working. But we'll need a bit of flour into it. We'll see what happens. And then also, I'm kind of quite curious to see if it. So what I found with gnocchi is that it wants to become sticky if you leave it. So you kind of have to make it and then use it straight away. You can't leave it in the fridge overnight because it wants to just go really sticky. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing with this. That is kind of wanting to, if we're supposed to be kneading, to activate some gluten. I just don't think these are going to be very light. Just don't think so. I think there is a is it? It's a type of potato that's got choux pastry in it. So you make a choux pastry and then you mix it into mashed potatoes and then you deep fry it. I don't know if it's a type of gnocchi. I learned it at college. I'll have to look it up. Maybe this is going to be okay. Maybe this is going to be okay. I don't know. The more flour, really shouldn't be adding flour to it. But maybe just half of that. Quarter of that actually. Yeah. I can't remember then if we deep fried that pastry. I can't remember if we actually ever made it, and if it was a pastry or what kind of, or what it was. That's in half again. Might just put this chopping board in the fridge while I go swimming. So. Flour on the board for this knife, don't we? Cut it into just to stop it from sticking, and we'll see if we can make it and it'll be okay to be in the fridge for a little while, or put it in the fridge because it's going to ruin it, and then we need a fork. We'll just do those shapes of gnocchi. It might be a case of it needs rolling out and shaping just before it's cooked. Without the egg, I mean, egg normally makes things rise a little bit. So there's no egg in it, just flour and water and fat. I don't know, but anyway, we'll do those as well. And we've still got plenty left, and then I've got some ragu that I was using up for other things. Where have I put that knife? Back in the flour. So, yeah, so it'd be a good way of using up this ragu that I've got. And just having a bit of an experiment. I do like the idea of extremely cheap food, if I'm honest. I think the cultures that take foods that are next to nothing ingredients and make something delicious, I think there's a true art to that. A true art to that. So it's not really enough for a portion, but we'll see what it's like when we're going to cook it. Right, so they've been in the fridge for an hour and a half, something like that, and they're cold and they're not sticky. So that's a good sign, isn't it? So, and I was curious, while I was swimming, I thought to myself, let's just have a go at frying some. So we'll fry a few in a frying pan at the back of the stove. We'll kind of see what happens. We might add a bit more. We might deep fry them. No, because we don't have enough fat for that. There's a lot of fat around. We might be able to wrangle something. And then these want to go in. And then as soon as they come to the top of the pan, they're cooked. We just need to wipe out that bowl. And then I can try and cut down on the washing up. Is it a New Year's resolution? I don't know if it is. But essentially, by frying them, all it really is pastry, isn't it? It's flour and fat and some water and some salt. It's basically pastry, So we'll just have to see how these are and see how it turns out. I don't know. I was just, when I saw it, I just didn't quite believe it because it didn't make sense in my head. But there again, there's lots of things that I do in kitchens that I had to get my head around first. You know, like I had to teach myself how to bake bread and make sourdough, and getting my head around making the sourdough, which is a different way of making bread than normally using fast acting yeast. So, you know, sometimes you've just got to open yourself up to new ideas, and just because you don't think it's going to work doesn't mean it's not going to work. You know, but so those are, and I never fully believe that as soon as they float, they're cooked. Like as in like really, as the heat got to all of them enough, you know, hold them together well. I suppose what's a hot water pastry mixture? No, it wasn't half fat too. Well, wasn't. They're just starting to boil to bits. So we can't cook those anymore because they're starting to boil to bits. So as soon as they are, ready, they're soft. They're certainly going to need some olive oil on them or something. Let's just put a few in the back there and see what happens with them when we fry them. So I don't want them to stick together, so we'll just have to put a little bit of olive oil on them. Just off camera, and then we'll give them a taste and what we think. So the oil would have flavoured them. So what do we think? No. There's nothing to them. They're really soft, but they're just not interesting. It's like flat kind of flavour. So I might mix a little bit of egg into some flour, and we'll kind of see. I know those are stuck at the back, so I don't think this is a good idea. I think if you're really desperate, but nice to eat, not really. I like soggy. So I think they need some egg in them to make them a little bit more interesting. They probably just need to fry harder for longer to get them a crisp edge on. I'm going to eat them, but I don't think they're anything interesting. Like I wouldn't recommend you make them. In all honesty, if you were desperate, but there's nothing really much to them. So I'll tell you what I'll do. While I am here, let's get some flour. Let's get an egg. And let's see. So I can't fry those. So I might just pause and I'll be back when I'm going to mix some of that mixture in with some flour and some egg. Alright, so those are cooked, and I'm just mixing a bit of egg into some flour. Maybe the plain flour is the problem. But I'm not going to, I don't think the taste, any kind of taste difference is going to come from any kind of different kind of flour you're going to use. So these are the ones that we just popped into the pot. And that was one that we poached first and then put into the fat. Not very interesting. Nice and crispy. They're nice and crispy, but just not that interesting. Just not that interesting. So, right. Will that egg? Yeah, it will. That'll be fine. Right, so let's. Are we recording? Yes, we are. That's okay. So let's just make a bit of space on the board. And that pan out of the way, it's probably going to knock itself over. We don't want to add that flour to this mixture. That was about a quarter of the mixture. Mix that into the egg, and then we'll be able to do a calculation. So, but they're essentially what we're making here is a form of pasta, aren't we? But anyway, so I'll need this, and then we'll cook it and see what happens. Right, let's go. Oh, missed one. So I'll find the ones in the back. They seem alright actually. They seem alright. These probably nicer now they've got a bit of egg in them, a little bit more. It's just more interesting, isn't it? You know, when you put things like egg in. You know, otherwise it was just fat and flour and a bit of water and a bit of salt. You know, and there isn't much flavour to flour unless you're going to use wholemeal. So they look okay. They're coloured nicely. They're not falling to bits. Probably the egg that's keeping them together, highly likely. Don't know why I said that. But if we just hold the pan up and we'll just get them a little bit browner, rather than having to put more oil in the pan. Highly dangerous. Ooh, but because the flame can come up the pan and set it on fire and then burn the house down and me in it. But anyway, so they look like they're ready. So maybe we should put those on a bit of paper. What have we got? We've got some paper. Let's just those out to a bit of paper. Okay. They sound alright. I think they just want a little bit more than just coming up to the boil and floating to the top, you know. I just don't trust that they'd be ready. Just don't trust it. They look better already. Not boiling themselves to bits, are they? Ooh, got them. They've really given me the burps. How do these taste? Let's get a crispy one. Better. More interesting. It probably just needs an egg in it. And then, like dumplings, don't we? Well, that's what gnocchi are, isn't it? See, I open my mouth and stupid things come out of it. We could probably fry them and they would go like that, but let's not, because I'm getting to the stage of being far too hungry now. So let's pretend they're ready. Well, they are ready. If they float to the top, they're ready. Italians say so. I'm probably going to be firmer because of the egg. That's probably not a bad thing. Things like this are vehicles for sauces, really. You know, like pasta's boring unless it comes with a sauce, isn't it? So the same with gnocchi, but you want to taste of something. So, with a fork. How do these taste? Better. Nicer fried. Yeah. If you're going to make them, fry them. But I suppose it's... What's that? Is it akin to anything? I can't think of it. You know, there'll be something out there that this is... That I've not just made a recipe up. I know, but I can't think of what you'd make it. But alright, they're a bit dense. But if you're going to do them, fry them. But my advice is, don't bother. Therefore, it's not a success.